Remembering Malcolm-Jamal Warner's legacy, the Coldplay Couple and their kiss cam catastrophe. I thought cancel culture was dead. The internet is torn asunder, and the WNBA players say united we stand, but they don't always act united. It's Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by our friends at LA Golf. Hot Mics with Billy Bush. Great title. You know it. Hey, we're live on TuneIn and YouTube, and we begin with some news that just hit hours ago, and that is the shocking and sudden death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. He was in Costa Rica on a family vacation, and he drowned while swimming. He died of asphyxia after he was caught in a high current, riptide, I guess. He died yesterday. Malcolm, oh wow. I mean, he is one of the most recognizable faces in television history, really. He dominated the 80s as Theo Huxtable, remained close with everyone from the cast, Tempest Bledsoe, Keisha Knight-Pulliam, Lisa Bonet, and Bill Cosby himself. He called Bill a friend and mentor. He didn't like talking about all the ugliness that went down with Bill, because that's, not how he knew him. So people respected that about him. Malcolm and Eddie with Eddie Griffin, another big hit. Today, an outpouring of love and support from Hollywood all over. Jamie Foxx said, speechless on this one, "Rest in power, my brother." And Jamie would know. I mean, think that Jamie was, facing imminent death himself. So he has a whole new look on mortality. Malcolm's co-star in The Resident, Morris Chestnut, posted that he's heartbroken. He said, "Rest easy, brother. Your legacy lives on, that's for sure." Niecy Nash said, "Just spoke with Malcolm, saying that they talked about how happy they were in their marriages. We all loved Theo. Never to be forgotten. You will be missed. Rest easy." Boy, I just think about that. The riptide, I mean, just life, the sliding doors. What if he decided not to go swimming, right? Things happen in an instant. What if he, something else had happened and he didn't go out into that water? And then all of a sudden, at 54 years old, a guy who lived so well, he was having fun. I was looking up at his latest Instagram posts, and he was playing with a band called the Biological Misfits in Atlanta, where he was living. He was, playing the bass, and every Thursday night he'd go to this place and they would jam. He was happy. Loved his wife, loved his little daughter. Said that, she had him wrapped around her little finger. It's just, it's tragic. And I got to tell you, just a little, I've been in a rip current before. Remind 10 years ago, I can feel it all over again. Have you ever been in a riptide? It's like I was on vacation. It was just me and my wife at the time, and we were on the beach in Cabo at right on the Sea of Cortez right there, and I went out. It was sort of a late morning, and I didn't see the red flag. I wasn't paying attention. I just said, "Hey," and I whipped off my T-shirt and I jumped in the water, and I swam out. Boy, the New York Post, I remember reading about this. They covered it because it was such a drama, and I'm out there and I'm swimming, and it's beautiful, and all of a sudden I feel myself getting further out. I'm like, oh my gosh, and I start swimming in, and I can't get in. I can't get in, and I start to panic, and my wife, Sydney, was standing on the beach, and I said, get help, I screamed, and she yelled up at the lifeguard, ran up to the pool area, and the lifeguard came running down. He had a ring with him, one of those floaty rings, and he threw it out to me. I got it, and he couldn't pull me, so he somehow swam out there too with me and was trying to pull me while swimming, like with one arm pulling this thing. That didn't work. He got caught out there with me, and thank God there were a bunch of other guys on hand, and about 5 other lifeguards came, and Cabana boys and all these strong guys. And they came down and they had the other end of the rope, and they pulled us like a giant tug-of-war team. And they pulled like with all of their might. It took them until we broke, that hold that the riptide had, and then we kind of collapsed over the threshold and came in to the beach, and I was screaming, and there were people up on the balconies, in their rooms overlooking the beach, witnessing all of this. I read about it in the New York Post, I think the next day, and they said Billy Bush screaming like crazy for his life and the whole thing. But it was an absolute terror. If you've ever been in one of those, it just makes me think of like what Malcolm was feeling and thinking, and I guess there was no one there to help him. It's just, it's so tragic. Such a nice guy. Interviewed him many times over the years, many times. Always a total and complete gentleman. Just the nicest person. Oh man, just all these people in the chat right now as we are live. Rest in peace, Malcolm. Darlene says, welcome in peace, Malcolm. Great actor, great guy. Oh my God, so sad. Hello, everyone. Swim sideways, parallel to the shore. Yeah, you don't think about it, though, when you're in a total panic. Trogger says, life is fragile. You'll never know. Good lesson to try to live our lives as the best version of ourselves that we can be. Jackie Ono here says, Malcolm was part of my childhood. Loved him as Theo. Riptide in Mexico held me under the water. Oh, you too, huh? Yeah, a tow rope anchored saved my life. I was drowning. Riptides are no joke. You and I have that in common, Jackie. Bex says, scary. May he rest easy and his family find love and God's strength during this time. Absolutely. I was going to talk to one of his very close friends, a woman I've had on as a guest many times, Yvette Nicole Brown, who co-starred with Malcolm on the NBC comedy Community. And we were going to talk, and she just a little while ago just texted me that just can't do it. There's too much pain out there. Nicest guy on the planet, though. Unbelievable. So may he rest in peace. So much going on here in the world. It's amazing what has happened as I change gears here to the Coldplay fumble. This thing, I don't know. I don't know if this story or any other story, gives it a new light or you see things in different perspective. But the Coldplay fumble, this it's chaos. Every ounce of me knew that every person in the country was going to see that by 5 o'clock that afternoon. The entire country would see it. Isn't that crazy? And the prevailing wisdom to emerge, had they just not reacted in any alarming way, like facing a bear in a campground or a crocodile, no sudden movements, the whole thing would have gone past. I'm not sure that's how shame works, though. Shame is triggered when we violate social norms, disappoint others, expose a part of ourselves we think is unacceptable. Guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad. Shame exposed, it triggers fight or flight and lights up brain regions that control fear, threat, pain, conflict. Why shame is so lethal? Since evolution, it means being cast out of the tribe, which means inevitable death. These two must have been in a tailspin. I mean, I just say don't revel in it. I don't know. It's lethal what shame can do. You know why Trump is so successful? While not admirable, he has none. He has no shame. So if you have no shame, you can just roll on through life and everything falls off you. He's immune. There's no grip. I read an article yesterday from the Free Press, an author, a writer that I read a lot, Kat Rosenfield, who just wrote about this. Her article was called The Coldplay Couple Did Something Bad. The Internet Did Something Worse. Kat is joining us right now. Hi, Kat. How are you?
Hi, Billy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, totally. Wow. What's been the reaction to your article?
A lot of people are very angry about it. I think they feel that I'm spoiling their fun.
Fun, huh?
Yeah, but there's another contingent who have sort of come out of the woodwork to say, I didn't really understand why I was so uncomfortable with this, and you articulated it, so thank you. And those responses I appreciate very much.
Have you ever seen anything like this? I've seen, this is the biggest, I guess, viral sensation and beatdown that I've seen in a long time. I felt one many years ago, but this one is pretty big. Have you seen anything like this?
I was trying to think if there was anything analogous to this in recent history, because it does kind of function on two different levels. On the one hand, there is the social media-driven public shaming, but on the other level, there is the fact that it has become a sort of a cultural artifact in its own right, and people are making memes and making art based on it at this point. So it's sort of taken on a second life. It's sort of passed into myth, even as these people and, and their families presumably are going through a terrible, terrible time. And I think that I just noticed that you put "stop cosplaying" as a woke journalist up there. Yeah, sorry guys.
Yeah, there's so many. These are all reactions to, not my take.
I was trying to think, what is a situation similar to this one? In terms of the sheer bloodlust, the sort of Central Park Karen incident that we saw 5 years ago with Amy Cooper is probably close. Prior to that, in terms of people sort of having a party over it, maybe the Justine Sacco cancellation, which I think was it was over 10 years ago.
That's the big one.
Yeah, but in terms of the idea that this has taken on a life of its own as this sort of thing that's going to kind of continue in the culture, people are going to continue to remix it. The thing that I thought of that is actually from way back, and you can tell me if you think I'm onto something here, was the Lorena Bobbitt incident.
Whoa, Lorena Bobbitt cut off her husband's, can I say penis?
Yeah. I think you can say penis.
You
it's
went first. We almost went at the same time. Yeah, I hate the word.
Do you?
Yeah. Unit. I like to soften things where I can.
Sorry.
Why is it likened to Lorena?
Well, okay. So the reason that this incident went so wildly viral is not just that these people were caught doing something bad. It's that the moment that was captured on video has this incredible physical comedy to it that makes it infinitely memeable, infinitely remixable. And people have been, recreating this moment. It's really become a thing unto itself that has absolutely nothing to do with these individual people or what they did wrong or how they may have disappointed their families or broken the social contract. You have people making art about this. You have the Phillies fanatic reenacting the whole scene, on the Jumbotron at the baseball stadium. And in that way, I think that the Lorena Bobbitt incident is probably the kind of closest analog, because there was, on the one hand, this act of incredible violence, and on the other hand, there were a lot of memes. I'm pretty sure Weird Al sang a song about it. Ultimately, John Bobbitt had a second life as a porn star.
How?
Yeah, I don't know why I know that, but there is this sort of whole second cultural life for that incident, in the same way that I think this one is having one. I'm sure that it won't necessarily continue to reverberate for as long, because now we're in the digital age and things just pass us by very quickly. But that seemed maybe comparable to me.
What does it say? I read this book by John Ronson called "So You've Been Publicly Shamed," and that opens with the biggest one you mentioned before, and that was Justine Sacco, who was, I think, a publicist, and she was on a flight to Africa, a 15-hour flight, and she made some kind of reference to, like, I am, my white ass isn't gonna get something about her being white, or because I think it was a racial kind of something she thought was. Do you remember exactly what Justine Sacco tweeted out?
Yeah, I do actually. I have a kind of a photographic memory for terrible internet lore. She tweeted, "Going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white." And it was supposed to be a self-deprecating joke about her own whiteness. It, sort of in vogue, became very in vogue after a couple of years, but it didn't land. And she
went to bed. She fell asleep after sending that out and thought, okay, That was funny. That was cute. No big deal. Woke up and there were millions and millions of responses. And I don't know that she's ever recovered. I've never heard about anything, from her since, but she was done.
Yeah, I mean, for a good long time. She is, I think, now working again and getting to be a person again.
Good.
But it took, I think, at least a couple of years for her to be employable. And there are still people who hold this against her. It will follow her for the rest of her life.
I wonder what when it happened, it was funny. It was funny. And I think about Chris Martin. He's just like, he made a little joke, either they're having an affair or they're totally shy. And then he realized, everybody thinks probably went, oh my God, in the middle of a Coldplay concert. But then it's been, you've seen a whole bunch of these things where it's, Bill Clinton and Monica, then it's Donald Trump and Hillary. And then it's like, they keep putting things in there and it's funny and all that. Is it sort of crested that humor threshold now? And now it's kind of like, oh God, there's lives here. There's people, we don't even know what was going on in their marriages, what's happening here. Everybody agrees the brazen nature, of out on an evening like that, not so smart. If you're right, the shame should be acted out in your life. But I don't know. It just, the humor of it was there. And now I think people are, I don't know. Do they feel, who knows? There's all different kinds, but mostly uncomfortable and, oh, shit, this is just terrible.
Yeah, it's that combination of terrible judgment and terrible luck that makes this, I think, in certain ways poignant, in the same way that those stories about people killing themselves in really stupid ways by accident that can be kind of poignant. It's like, they compile those into books and they call them the Darwin Awards, and people read them and they find them funny. And they are, in a certain sense. At the same time, if that's your spouse or your brother or your child, who died that way, it's not funny, of course. It's a terrible, terrible tragedy. And I think that one of the things that makes this a little bit dark is that we have these two scenarios existing side by side.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy's fired. We don't know what happens to her, but he's gone. The company was doing very, very well. He was obviously a successful CEO, so he's just going to go into a couple-year hold or whatever it is. I wonder if, you cover the internet lore, as you said, and, what has it desensitized us to sort of irretrievable, an irretrievable place?
I think it has broken something about the way that the social contract is enforced. I was thinking about this because a friend of mine asked me on Twitter, he said, isn't this just small town social dynamics writ large? Is this actually anything new? And I was thinking about that. And I think the thing that is new is that small town social dynamics were supposed to be small. They were supposed to be about people in a community together, holding each other accountable for doing things that were corrosive to social trust. And once you take that same machine and you make it global and you make it something that anybody can participate in from anywhere in the world 24 hours a day instantaneously, any limiting principle that you might have once had, where you have people who are in community together who know that after the shaming is over, they're still going to have to live together with this person who did the bad thing, that is gone. And it becomes purely about bloodlust and purely about the satisfaction of kicking at somebody who's been identified as a target. And I think in that way, it really does change the dynamics. And I think it's done so pretty irretrievably. I mean, we're not going to put the internet back in the bag.
No, I have to say, Kat, it's funny, your name is Kat Rosenfield, and my chat section here, since we're live, is everyone's going crazy because I think we hear a cat. Is there an actual cat?
I am so sorry. You can hear him? Oh, no.
Oh, everybody's going crazy. My guys in here are going nuts about is that your cat?
I am mortified, yes, because when I get on any kind of a video call, he comes and he tries to put his butthole in the camera. And so I put him in a room upstairs, but my house is very small. And so
Put his butthole in the camera. Where is he? Come on. Is the cat around?
He's all the way upstairs. I can't. But I'm so sorry. I really thought that I had
people are
figured
loving
it
it.
out.
They're like, I mean, of all the serious damn things we're talking about, JT says, does anyone else hear a cat? Sally, yeah, I hear a cat. That's a cat. Everybody
I'm
was
mortified.
I thought
am
that was
glad,
my
though.
cat, said Sherry. She's when everyone's looking around. Is that my cat? I was wondering if I had a cat in here.
Okay, I am mortified, but I'm also grateful because I have to be on CNN a little bit later to talk about this same story, and I'm not sure that Jake Tapper's audience would be as understanding as yours. So thank you
mine
for
love the
alerting
cat.
me.
We're cat people.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna, I don't know, put a muzzle on him, pump him full of drugs.
I don't know. I mean, it's sort of your thing. I mean, you're talking to Kat Rosenfield here of the Free Press, and there's like meow, meow in the background. It could just be your thing. So
It's my brand, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
your brand.
Let's go with that.
Kat, what a great, interesting article, and I think it is definitely a moment for people to take a moment and think, okay, past these incredible beatdowns to what's going on. I don't know. I hope it does pass. So we'll let it go. But I love reading your stuff. Kat Rosenfield writes for the Free Press, does a great job, and just keeping an eye on all this crazy shit that comes in and out of our lives, sometimes just for an instant. Thank you so much, Kat. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Say hi. What's the cat's name?
Rasputin.
Ah, Rasputin. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Can't make it up. I love it.
Okay.
Thanks, Kat. Yeah, it's so good. Okay. Did you see? Boy, the vodka they put in here is really good. Did you see the WNBA All-Stars come out on the court? Both teams on Saturday wore T-shirts that said, "Pay us what you owe us." Are WNBA stars getting ripped off? Some metrics say they're overpaid. Some suggest the investment is just getting good, so pay up, league owners, and don't screw it up. Former ESPN analyst and host and podcaster, writer for The Atlantic, Jemele Hill, is standing by. We're going to talk to her in just a second. But Hot Mics today, sponsored by LA Golf, the most technologically advanced golf gear on the market. Everything that they create and make is designed by Bryson DeChambeau, who actually had one of the most incredible days on Sunday when he rallied back and shot a 64 at Royal Portrush in the British Open, or the Open Championship, which was won by Scottie Scheffler. But all his clubs designed himself at LA Golf, and they're available to you. All you got to do is go to lagolf.com and fill out your swing speed and get a custom driver for yourself. The putters are incredible. Seriously, it's the best gear on the market. And so we're happy to have them as our sponsor. Well, the WNBA All-Star Game took place in Caitlin Clark's hometown of Indianapolis, though Caitlin did not play due to a re-aggravated groin injury earlier that week. So no WNBA player has simultaneously dominated the court and the zeitgeist in the league's 30-year history like Caitlin Clark. No way. She's been a godsend for a league that is 30 years old and still unprofitable, which people keep pointing out. Ratings are up, though. When she's playing, they're up big time, and about half as much when she's not playing. So they're up across the board. But like Cardi B says, if it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's up. The game was as horrible as a men's NBA All-Star game. Zero defense, lots of scoring, like double the amount of scoring. Team Clark, Caitlin was the captain, even though she didn't play, lost to Team Collier 151 to 131. The most talked about moment was when the two teams walked out pre-game for warm-ups. They were all wearing the same T-shirt that read, "Pay us what you owe us." The debate on that has begun. Pay us what you owe us or pay us what you're worth. Jemele Hill put out a little post today. On Saturday. Funny how all that protect women's sports energy went out the window as soon as WNBA players showed up with T-shirts bringing awareness to the lack of financial equity they have in their league. Pleased to welcome Jemele back to Hot Mics. How you doing, Jemele?
I'm doing great. And before we get into our conversation, let me just say I've been using the LA Golf putter that you wonderfully sent me. It is money.
Yo,
In fact, I just played the other day. My husband and I, we both started our golf journey at the same time. Whooped him by 6 strokes, and he's still smarting from it. So, thank you, LA Golf.
now when you play golf with your husband, Jamel, what do you win? Since you beat him, what did he have to like cook dinner that night? Did he have to order dinner? Did he have to pick up his shit off the floor? What did he have to do?
So he created this. We have a trophy in our house that when we compete at things, the trophy changes possession. So me having to get the trophy, him having to present me with the trophy because I beat him at golf was very rewarding.
Ah, beautiful. Good. So does he ever win? I mean, 6 strokes is a smackdown. You're like Scotty Scheffler on the rest of the field there.
He does. We go back and forth quite a bit. And it
Okay.
actually makes me really thankful that we started our journey at the same time because in a lot of situations, usually it's the men who begin golfing earlier than maybe some of their spouses or their partners. And because we began at the same time, that means that like our levels are constantly kind of around the same place.
Yeah.
So it makes it for more interesting competition.
Fantastic. We'll keep beating him.
Yeah.
Jamel, do the WNBA players deserve more money, even though the league isn't making money?
They do. And I know for a lot of people who have focused on that statistic you said that it's not profitable. I want people to understand this in context. The NBA was not profitable for over 40 years, maybe about 45. The NFL was not profitable for 50 years. Did player salaries go down? No, they continued to go up. And what I would say that people have to understand that one, the WNBA players are not asking to be paid the same amount as NBA players. They're asking for a higher percentage of the revenue. Currently, they get 9%. That is absurdly low. Now, we know, say, for example, that UFC, they have a very notorious reputation for not paying their fighters, right? That this has been a long-standing battle in that league. The UFC fighters are getting 18%. Of the professional sports leagues, the WNBA is pretty much at the lowest. So, yes, they deserve more money. And people have to understand the moment that the WNBA is in. I know people heard the fact that they're losing 40 to 50 million dollars, or that was the case for 2024. Do I don't know why people always believe it when we see numbers like that. And this is what I mean. So in 2011, when the NBA was in a lockout, the owners claimed that they were losing $1 billion. When it was 1999 and there was another lockout in the NBA, the owner said that 80% of the NBA teams were not profitable. It's so funny how every time there is a labor negotiation that we suddenly get this story out of nowhere from a league source that tells the media, oh, they're not making any money. Now, I would just ask people to put on their critical thinking caps. If the WNBA is such a bad investment, how is it that they're adding 5 teams by 2030? How is it that the Golden State Valkyries, the latest expansion team in their first year, the valuation for the team is $500 million.
Is it really?
So, yes, it is. It's the highest valuation for a women's sports team, professional women's sports team ever.
And there's expansion teams coming on. Toronto, so the WNBA is going
Toronto,
international.
Detroit, Philly, Portland, they're all coming by 2030.
And
So again, if they're losing as much money as they say, and listen, all business owners know this. You can make the books look however you want them to look. Most businesses like to operate at a loss because of what? It's a great tax break, right?
tax break.
Steve Ballmer in 2021, here's another fun fact you can repeat at parties. He paid less taxes than LeBron James. Steve Ballmer is worth 130 billion. You know how he did it? He claimed he lost $700 million with the Clippers. So if the Clippers, a team that he bought at the time for a record $2 billion, the money is in the valuation. The money is in that's where people need to be focused on is what are these teams worth? A $2.2 billion rights deal that the WNBA will start next season, where they'll get $200 million a year. And listen, I'm not calling anybody a liar, but what I am saying is that billionaires have a way when it's labor negotiation of creating narratives around how much money they're losing. And yet they tear an ACL to buy a team every time one is open. So
Yeah.
you tell me this, is it a bad investment or not?
Well, yeah,
Probably it's a good one.
they say the best investment in the world now is sports team ownership. I keep looking into the weeds for like, what's a sport that could be next? I have friends, a couple guys who bought a squash team. I'm like, really? I mean, like, I don't know. We want to be in sports ownership. So they bought a. I was up in Maine on vacation recently. Jemele, I saw women's roller derby. Now, when I grew up, I'm an old fart. We had roller derby. It was amazing. They had like like the track was like a berm, it was like a velodrome, and they would go around there knocking each other out. I watched women who have regular jobs during the day compete in roller derby. It is the most fascinating thing. It's on my Instagram, and Howie Mandel, who is my landlord here at Hot Mics, he is trying to find a way to buy a women's roller derby team with me. We want to be co-owners of this, and I don't want men's. I saw the women. I don't even want to see the men go. The women were unbelievable. So keep an eye out. Maybe you'll get a Washington team. You're down there, right?
I'm here in Los Angeles, so you already know.
Oh, you're back. You're in LA. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm here
That's
in
going to
Los
be
Angeles.
expensive.
Yeah, but nevertheless, you hit on something that is very true across the board for women's sports. Last year in 2024 was the first year that women's sports generated $1 billion in revenue. And part of the reason is because there's still an access and an entry point for women's sports. It's probably pretty difficult to be able to buy a piece of a piece of an NBA team or NFL team, especially because those are very, very expensive. But where there is an access point for people with a lot of money, for people who fall in love with the game or the sport, just as you did with roller derby, there is an access point that is there. And so the WNBA is offering that. You also have somebody who's a superstar, a supernova like Caitlin Clark. You have Juju Watkins, who will be there in a couple years.
Yep.
You have a very exciting young class of talent that is there. And with merchandise sales being up over 300%, ticket sales being up as much as they are, viewership, everything about this sport is pointing in the direction that it is trending so far north. So from a point of negotiation, you don't wait till after they make the money. You do it now. And that's why they're saying, pay us what you owe us.
Will Caitlin Clark be to thank mostly when the pay goes up?
I think what Caitlin Clark did was sped everything up. And the WNBA was definitely trending northward. But were they trending northward to this extreme? No. But I think it works the same. It has worked the same to some degree in all the professional sports league. Listen, the moment for the NBA was Magic and Bird. Before that, the NBA Finals was on tape delay. And in the early 70s, in the early 70s and the late 70s, and really a little bit part of the 80s, the NBA had a very bad reputation. The ratings were bad. They were losing money. There was a rampant drug problem in the league, and Magic and Bird kind of brought them out of that.
Yeah.
I would argue, I think quite successfully, that the WNBA at 28 years old is in a much better, healthier shape than any of the professional men's leagues were. And so right now it makes a lot of sense that the women want to take advantage of this. And it's also a good investment. The whole reason Brittany Griner wound up in Russia and being detained for a year in a Russian prison is because she had to make money in Russia playing ball, right? So you don't want your best athletes to be going overseas. And then, by the way, it should be sort of insulting, the fact that Russia, with its track record for human rights, with its bad track record, that they are willing to pay women 7 figures to play ball there, and we're not.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Angel, you talked about Bird and Magic. I mean, Angel Reese is sort of staked out a rivalry with Caitlin. It's unclear, like Bird and Magic, if Caitlin is reciprocating as much but Angel's definitely, there was a video she posted on Friday, the day before the WNBA game. She's in Indianapolis. She's driving through, she's launching her new shoe line with Reebok, and she's like, "I'm in your city," and she's baiting her but.
Well, I think
that's good, right? I mean, we need a rivalry.
It is good, but part of that was just the fact that there was this idea that Angel Reese would not be welcome in Indianapolis, and that was far from the case, as was all the players that were there. And listen, Angel Reese is part of this explosion that we're seeing happen, is that sports require tension. Now, they don't need some of the racial tension, and that is mostly coming from other people that has been a part of this conversation. But I think in general, part of the reason you love sports is because you love the tension between players. People have gotten so caught up into whether or not they like each other. Like, who cares? Do
Yeah.
you guys care if male players like each other? You don't. You actually like it when they don't like each other.
Yeah.
So I don't care if these women actually get along or if they don't. I care about them developing and continuing to grow the WNBA product.
Yeah, I mean, was there racial tension as much with Bird and Magic? I mean, it had to be underlying. Certainly, it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tension between them was basically everybody else's projection. I mean, you had a lot of things at play. You had East Coast versus West Coast. You had Showtime versus supposedly more of a blue collar type of team in Boston. You had Larry Bird being, what is it? What they used to call him, the hick from French Lick. And even though, by the way, I went to Michigan State just like Magic did, not at the same time though. And East Lansing, Michigan, it ain't exactly New York City, okay? But nevertheless, there was this idea that you had this rural country boy versus this big glamorous superstar in Magic Johnson. And those tensions, they work in America, whether we want to admit it or not.
But the rap community embraced Eminem. Golf certainly embraced Tiger Woods. There is this sense that Caitlyn is persona non grata with so many players, like there's some kind of jealousy in here. But if you find your way to work against her or work with her, I think everybody does. She's like the Howard Stern of basketball. How everyone in radio did better when Howard Stern started getting paid huge amounts of money.
I think, and that was why it was really interesting to see. I hope people paid attention to a lot of the players' social media pages. I think this whole jealousy narrative has been really overblown, and they're competitors. Okay, that's number one. And some of this has been this sort of idea that people have about how women are supposed to compete. And yeah, they're going to compete hard. No, they do not want to be embarrassed by Caitlin Clark. So yes, they're going to get physical with her because that's what you do with somebody who's a shooter. It is very simple basketball. And what you saw over the course of the weekend is how beloved Caitlin Clark is among the players. She was hanging out. She was at the club with them. She was getting drunk. I mean, it was a good time when you watched to see how the players were fraternizing with one another. Again, competitors on the court, off the court, it's a different vibe. And it's very clear that a lot of people in the WNBA love Caitlin Clark. And they've said before many times on the record, it's not good enough for a lot of people. I don't know why, but that they understand how much she has helped to elevate and grow this league.
Jemele, I thought you lived in D.C. or you spent some time in D.C. I don't know why.
I did at one point. I spent I lived in D.C. 6 months right before I left ESPN, but I've been here in L.A. since 2018.
Okay, because I was going to ask you. I thought I sent that putter to D.C. When I think about that address, but I was going to ask you about Trump holding up the deal. He says, I'm going to hold up the deal for the Washington Commanders to have to transform RFK Stadium into the new state. But you have to change the name back to the Redskins, which is never going to happen. But I wonder how people feel about that.
I think people are mostly like, why? I mean, it's just sort of
we don't have the black skins. We don't have the white skins. We don't have the yellow skins. The Redskins, it's a great, listen, I don't think that many people were offended by it when it was happening. We just sort of, we all grew up with it. But now that it's changed going back, I can't imagine that happens. What's that?
I said it depends on who you talk to. I mean, there were a great many Native Americans who were very offended by that name, and especially understandably.
But I didn't hear about it. I never heard the picketing. I never saw protesting. I never saw them organizing.
Well, yes, I did see organizing. There had been protesting before, much like with Kansas City. There's a lot of Native Americans who hate the headdress. They hate the garb because it is essentially turning them into mascots or basically caricatures. And yeah, it's kind of understandable why they would have a problem. What I will say, much like a lot of things that Donald Trump says, just because he says it doesn't mean it's legal. And the hoops that would have to be jumped through for them to change the name back in both Cleveland and their cases would be quite substantial. And so to me, it's just like, can you focus on running the country? Because nobody really asked you for this. Just focus on running the country. How about that?
Yeah. Jemele, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Anything else you need? A driver?
I'm actually good on the driver. So, but that putter is just money. Plus it's sleek. I love the way it looks. It's like, It's the whole thing. Like I'm a fan of LA golf. I've seen a lot of people have asked me about the putter when I was on the course, so I made sure to tell them where I got it from. So thank you. Good looking out.
All right. Keep kicking his ass. Jemele Hill, right there. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Care. You know, I didn't realize that the NBA lost so much money for so long. I want to talk about Colbert for a second. The Stephen Colbert situation. A lot of people are wondering, like, you know, speaking of Trump and canceling things and getting his way and shakedowns and all of this stuff, which, you know, he's done with ABC News. He got $15 million out of them. He got $16 million very recently of, you know, out of CBS. CBS just canceled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, as you've heard. Not only with Stephen Colbert, but with anyone else in the future. The whole franchise, started by David Letterman 33 years ago, will be gone 3 days after Stephen calls for, you know, or calls that $16 million settlement to Donald Trump a big fat bribe. I say, why not wait a week? Literally 1 week is enough distance in this constant maelstrom of news and outrage, you know, that consumes the zeitgeist. 1 week would be enough. Maybe they wanted to take a shot, you know, back at him while doing something that, you know, they should have done a few years ago. If it was political payback for Stephen running his mouth against Donald Trump every single night, why did they give him 1 more year to let it rip and not just cancel him right now? If it was purely financial, why didn't they announce the cancellation in May when they hold the advertising upfronts and all the big advertisers come into a room? They could have demanded top dollar for the swan song year of Stephen Colbert and The Late Show. They would have gotten a lot more per ad and would have lost less money. In my view, it's purely financial, 100% financial. But did they wink at Donald Trump and let him think that they did it to please him? Yeah, I bet they did. Ron Wexler on Twitter said, you know, when a late night show wins an Emmy and the stage is filled with 50 people, that's why late night shows are no longer economically viable. Yeah, it's true. Like, how many of these people are there? The Colbert budget is $100 million to put that show on. Here's how it breaks down. Stephen gets $15 million. Writers and producers, all of them together, get $15 million. The production crew, $20 million. The band and the guests together, because you have to pay a minimum for a guest, $7 million. The Ed Sullivan Theater, that's some prime real estate in Midtown, plus the overhead, that's $20 million. Production and marketing is $20 million. And then you got the legal fees and the catering and the staff travel and all that. That adds up to about $3 million. All in, they lose $40 million a year. So, yeah, it was coming. So welcome to podcasting, babe. That's for sure. I think that's what's happening. So, coming up, we got one last thing we got to do. And that is we got to talk about what really is going on here with Blake Lively and all these subpoenas for these content creators out there. Blake is absolutely sure that content creators are being paid by the Baldoni legal team, by Brian Friedman and others, to spew terrible things about Blake. Blake believes there's nothing terrible about me. It has to be a large conspiracy. And she's pretty sure about it, so she's subpoenaing all these content creators. She's sent a subpoena to X now. What they're doing, I don't understand. But there's one person I follow on Instagram a lot, Elsie. She goes by Elsrich on Instagram, and she's just fantastic. She is super funny, and she can go through a legal document like nobody's business. She's got many takes on that. I'm going to welcome her in just a second. We're back in 30.
Welcome to LA Golf. You guys ready for the tour? We're the only golf company that manufactures its clubs here in the United States. All LA Golf drivers are built right here.
I'm very excited for today's production. It's going to be
4 left. Anybody hungry? So does he work here?
Work here? He lives here.
All right, so the Blake Lively situation is very interesting. Where this is right now is beyond belief. They've still got till March 2026 until this actually goes to trial. And you've heard about, the ups and the downs here. Baldoni's had a tremendous setback when they threw out his countersuit against Blake. And we all thought, oh God, what is Brian Friedman going to do? Well, they did not refile. They are going to just focus most of their energy, on going after, on fighting Blake's original suit and proving that in no way did Baldoni SH or SA, and you have to say that because of YouTube, at all against Blake. And it's astounding to me that she believes that it goes back to August, like when the movie came out in August of 2024. It goes back that all this stuff started coming out. And we didn't, we realize now because of what Brian Friedman put together, 170 pages that became public on a website that showed all the communications, that had all the receipts of their interactions, that you kind of got an idea of what was going on here. And every content creator that's going after Blake or calling her out definitely went through those documents and went through those receipts. And then, because this is what internet sleuths do, they started looking up old clips of Blake. And Blake says, they never would have done this. They love me too much. These are my fans. These are my people. They wouldn't do this. There's no way. They must be getting paid by Brian Friedman and his people. Well, one of the content creators, is Elsrich, as she goes by on Instagram. Elsie, you're unbelievable. Look at you.
Hi.
Oh, my God. How did you get into covering Blake? And you do it better than anyone. You're my number one. I go to you. And by the way, content creators are very loving people. They all support each other. So, Donna Bowling, she's with you, and Zach Peters, and everybody you support them, they support you. But yeah, what tipped you off in the beginning? What made you pursue this?
Well, thanks for having me, Billy. I appreciate it. I want to actually give a shout out to your fans because I would have never seen your message because they told me you were looking for me. Because everybody who follows me knows I literally post the content and I go live my life. I'm not on social. I don't consume content. I just make my content and I go away. So they were blowing up my phone. Billy's looking for you. Check your messages. So shout out to them for getting the message to me. I would have probably never seen it.
This is how it works, Elsie. I said, listen, guys, I've sent her a DM. I don't know if it's going. Somebody please find her. And they do it like that.
They did.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, but now to answer your question, I know a lot of people weren't familiar with Justin before all this began, but I knew him from Jane the Virgin because I kind of grew up watching that show. I always tell people the Jane the Virgin we know now, it's not the original version. It's actually a Venezuelan show, which I grew up watching with my grandma back in Africa. So I'm from Ghana. I think the last time you said I have like Caribbean descent, I'm actually African. I'm West African. So I grew up with my grandma watching 111 Hair, which is the Venezuelan version, the Spanish version. So when I got to America and I realized it was like an English version when I was going into college, I was like, oh, I got to watch this now. No subtitles. Great. I mean, there were still subtitles every here and again, but so I knew him from then, followed him on social media, kind of got his books when they came out, knew kind of his philosophy, how he lived his life. I appreciated that. So I think the very first time, well, my friends read the book that It Ends With Us. I never read it, but my friends were obsessed with it. So when I heard the accusations, I literally texted one of my friends who read the book and I'm like, whatever money I have, I'm putting it on it. This is just not possible. Like my instincts cannot be this wrong about a person.
Because of the way they act? Did you follow any of Justin Baldoni's TED Talks or listen to his podcast,
Oh, yeah.
about being a better man? So you knew him other than just the character he played?
Yes, I knew him as the person. Well, not, as far as you can know a person from what you know, from what they show you. I think one of the first things I actually knew about him is a lot of people don't know. There's the app, I think it was, I forget what it's called now, but he had came up with an app back in the day called Baby Bump for his wife when she was pregnant. So they could take pictures throughout the journey. And then once the baby was born and everything, so he felt included. And I thought that was super cool. Now there's an app that does that, but it's not his specifically. I don't know if he sold it to them or what, but he was the first one to come up with that. And I thought that was super cool for a man to care that much about a pregnancy because typically they're just waiting for the baby to be born. So I thought that was cool. And I'm a mom now. I wasn't a mom then, but I thought that was interesting. So I liked him for that. And then he wrote the book about boys will be human, not boys will be boys, which I have a son. And I appreciated that as well. So to me, this is just not something I could fathom. Like, I don't care.
The
I
idea,
wasn't.
Elsie, the idea would be, Blake is putting forth this idea. It's mind-blowing to people because literally for him to have SH'd, Blake Lively, every single thing about him would have to be completely fraudulent. He would have to be the sickest sort of wolf in sheep's clothing that you could even imagine. Like, so sick that he's going to go give a TED Talk about how to be a better man. He's going to launch a podcast with a co-host who's since dropped him like a hot rock and took off and vanished. And she still hasn't owned up or apologized to Justin Baldoni, which she should.
Yeah.
But, so you immediately got into that. Now, with everything you do, with every twist and turn this whole saga takes, you probably are more emboldened than ever in support of Justin.
Oh, yeah.
You're on to her. Every part of your instincts is like, no, girl.
Everything. My spidey senses tingle every day. I wake up for this. Like, I live for this now. This is like, I'm dying on this hill. Like, if he's wrong, I'm dying with him. Like, it's too late to turn back now. Okay, take me with you. We can all go to hell together if that's where we're going. I'm too far in now. I'm too deep in. And I always say, like, you cannot be that wrong about a person. Like, you would have to betray everything you know about yourself. You would have to betray everything. Like, you just cannot be that wrong. And if you compare the two, really, there is no comparison. Like, every turn, Blake tells you who she is. You just have to listen. Like, and that's what kind of made this so easy to do. There was no smear campaign. Sweetie, I just have to pull one interview where you tell on yourself. Like, that's her favorite thing to do. She literally cannot keep a secret about herself. She will tell you time and time again, I'm a horrible person. What you see being nice, that's a facade. And I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah,
Nice
if you
to
work
meet
with me, as soon as I sign up, I tell you I'm an actor, and then I get my hands on the material, and then I get into the director's room, and then I really start taking over a production. She has said this in almost a braggadocious way in front of an audience.
Oh, yeah. And she sat there with her clanking earrings, and she really thought she was saying something, which continues to prove my point. She's not a very bright person, not the sharpest knife in the bunch. That's fine. You don't have to be the smartest person. But when you go out of your way to not be smart, I'm scared. Because why are you doing that? Why? Who? Like, some of these questions you're not even asked. You volunteered this information, which makes it even more scarier. Like, I want her to have like a 24-hour stream where she just talks. And I feel like we could solve this case. Like, we just need to give her a mic. Maybe you should have her on your show.
She will impugn
You would give
herself.
her a hot mic, and the case will be solved. Let's give her a hot mic, and she will solve the case.
And she'll just hang herself. Just let her go out there. Right. Like, I always think about the time she went and, like, before the movie was ready, she's like, the studio told me not to do it. By the way, there is no world, I've been doing this for a long time, where an actress or an actor or anyone who's just hired to be on the film as an actor is taking a cut of the movie and saying, the studio told me not to do this.
Yeah.
Unless they're being performative. But she wasn't. Exactly. She's like, literally, I'm going to show you an unfinished cut. Colleen and I, the author, Colleen Hoover of the book, we're going to show you this together. The whole thing, like, completely blowing off Justin Baldoni and leaving him in the dust.
If the math is correct, she was on a hot mic when she said that, right?
Yes.
So my theory is correct. We just really need to give the lady a hot mic, and she will really snitch on herself. But to piggyback on a point you made earlier, a lot of people don't realize Jane the Virgin, the show he was on, he was one of, I think, 2 or 3 male cast members on there. It was a predominantly female show. He had almost every episode was him having an intimate scene with Gina Rodriguez or Yael Grobles on every episode. And you want me to believe he just lay dormant while being with those women? He was just waiting to SH Blake Lively's postpartum body. Like, no, like it's just he was not that intrigued by you and your breast milk. He just didn't care that much. Like you can't convince me of that. So to give this woman continues to dig herself, and today we're in what, July, and we've been at this since December, give or take. Not one piece of evidence can even make me go, ooh, maybe. I haven't had a maybe moment. I don't know if that makes sense to you, or maybe you had a maybe moment, but not a single thing she's given us or told us had made me think, ooh, or maybe. Or
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah,
the
yeah.
voice note that she tried to use against him is, you set him up. You lied and said you wrote lines and made him apologize. Turns out he was apologizing to your husband. So it's you again, we need to give the lady a hot mic. Maybe she'll end the case for us sooner than later.
I think my favorite thing about you is the way you say that lady. I love the way you say that
I
lady.
She's that lady to me. Like, she's over there. That lady over there.
What is when you think of all the things that that she's done, or that the moves that she's made, what irritates you the most? What really gets your spidey sense going?
I think it's the fact that she cannot fathom we don't care. Like, we literally don't like you. You don't have to be liked, and that's okay. In her mind, in her very privileged I'm married to Deadpool mind, she thinks the Deadpool thing is like an extension, and she should reap the benefits. I'm married to Deadpool. I'm Lady Pool. You're not. You voice Lady Pool. Let's get it right. Your husband said your postpartum body wouldn't fit, so he got you a body double. So let's get that together. You're not Lady Pool. Let's not lie to the kids. Speaking of kids, you also had your child right there saying things a child shouldn't say, but Justin is the predator? Okay. I'll let you do the math. If at any given point, it's the fact that if she would just sit with herself, right? She would just, as my friend Bohemian Diva like to say, go lay on somebody's couch, a therapist. But we know we can't get those notes because, garden variety emotional distress. I'll leave it there. But if she would go lay on somebody's couch and have a moment with herself, she will realize you're not likable. Nobody likes you. You can't seem to tell the truth to save your life. And maybe if you did that, or if you gave up on trying to convince us of something, we could maybe even not get on your side, but we could lay off a bit. But every day, now your lawyers are liars too, because it's scary to me that these lawyers are enabling her. They're her enablers now. So the most irritating thing, to answer your question, is the fact that she just can't seem to understand, maybe I'm just not that likable. And that's about it.
Well,
There is
everything
nothing
comes to
nefarious
roost.
here.
Everything comes to roost. It's like however you've played it in your career, in your life, as you go along. If it's all coming back. And when you need people, you've got. I don't see anybody there. I don't see anybody stepping up vocally in support. Every cast member of It Ends With Us is gone to the other side of the moon. The ones that came out in support right away, because they're like, oh my God, someone was SH'd by a man, and we have to do this. This is what we do. We're Hollywood, liberal elite actors, and we must immediately say we stand with her. And then they're like, oh shit, we got a problem here. This doesn't look right.
They all did the Simpsons thing. They just all like, ooh, they all backed into the weeds like, no, thank you. I'll be over here.
And now, every movie that they're doing, Jenny Slate or Brandon, these everything, their publicists are like, absolutely no questions whatsoever about Blake and Baldoni. Not one. But do you think the motive, I'm always interested in the motive. And to me, the motive was, and this came out without a crystal ball. A creator last week said that that Blake had felt, or reportedly had felt, that a man shouldn't be able to direct a movie or work with material that has to do with domestic abuse and sexual, SH, whatever. A man shouldn't be in that position, which is crazy because, men are storytellers, people are storytellers, and there's been millions before and there will be millions after. But that her motivation was really to take over the movie and to be able to take over the second movie, to be able to direct and shape the second book. It Starts With Us with Colleen Hoover. And that's what it was about. And in order to get control of the movie, she would have to remove Justin Baldoni on some type of grounds. And so she went with this, which is brutal.
Yeah. Billy, thank you for your question. I also think people who can't act shouldn't act, but here we are. because it's hard when you want to act but you can't act, but you get a job because you're married to Deadpool and you have his children. So, and it continues to prove my point. They did no research about the man they try to put this on. Because had she done a liquor research, she would have found out maybe. And I obviously, there's no confusion here. I'm not neutral. Don't get it ever twisted. I'm Team Baldoni. You would have found out in your research that maybe the one man director that would be qualified for this job would have been him. Just a little bit of research. Perhaps had she read the book and she would have known, oh, maybe the man who went to therapy to play this role would be the man to direct this role. The lady who didn't read the book should have been the lady to not act in this role. I think 1 + 1 will always be 2, Billy. But if we ask that lady, 1 + 1 could be Betty Boos, Betty Brown. It's always going to be something other than 2. And so if you ask me, she's a nut. She's a nut job, quite literally. And I'm still waiting for my subpoena, which I haven't gotten. And I'm proud of her for recognizing I'm not the 1 or the 2 to be played with. So shout out to her. That's the one thing she's done about this that's very smart. She hasn't knocked on my door with any of those subpoenas. But if she was ever listening to me, I just want to tell her, you picked the wrong one. Because she probably would have gotten away with this, like I've been saying. If they had picked any other person in Hollywood to try this with, I sure as hell wouldn't care. I don't know these people. You picked if she had just researched, had she read the book, I feel like we wouldn't be here. Because the whole, oh, he was on my neck thing, the book would have told you. The man was obsessed with your neck in the book. Because Justin did his due diligence, that's why he was there.
Yeah.
But a person who didn't read the book wouldn't know that. I'm the crazy one for asking for a lot from an actress who can act, but we don't have time for that
At the root
today.
of it all, that she didn't read the book is unbelievable. Sherry Morris, the live chat's going nuts here. There's no motive. She just thinks that she can take what she wants. She's used to being told yes. She wants to be in control, and everyone else is beneath her.
Yeah.
Sherry, yeah, okay. And by the way, all your fans are in here. She even said
and you don't have to rush off, Billy. We have like 10 more minutes because my husband left to go pick up the boy late. So you don't have to, if you don't want me to go, we have a few more minutes. So we don't have to rush to get me off.
Yeah.
But and then, earlier your point, you're like, nobody is supporting her. The biggest person who could have saved her was Taylor Swift. And I don't know, maybe you may disagree or agree. I don't know. But I said this from the very beginning. Not even Taylor Swift doesn't have to come out and say anything. She could have literally taken you to dinner one time, and she hasn't. We haven't seen you with her. The lady could have taken you to the Super Bowl and had you looking crazy, super depressed, and the paparazzi would have done the work for you, but she didn't want your stench anywhere near her. She was like, further, devil, get away from me, devil. And she's the godmother to your children. Like, if you're not there, she's supposed to watch your kids. Hell, she might be writing up somewhere, I don't want them baby kids either. Because why? Why would she want to be around you? And again, like I keep saying, one text, like if she could have shown me one text message from her husband asking her, hey, I'm in London today. You're going to work with Justin. Are you going to be okay? Is everything? But those texts don't exist. I'm sorry, but if I worked at that goddamn Chipotle and somebody was messing with me, my husband is not sending me to work.
That's
if
right.
I was frying chicken at the Popeyes and somebody was making me feel uncomfortable, my husband would not let me go back there.
Yeah, exactly. Nor
don't need the money.
Nor invite the guy to fly on your
I'm not
private
playing
jet.
with you.
Yeah.
Are you nuts? You invite. It would be different if you showed me that text where Justin said, "Hey, I know you're going to LA. Can I come on the plane?" You went out of your way to ask the man, "Hey, I'm going to LA. I know you said you miss your family. Do you want to ride?" Why would you put you and your kids in a metal tin with this man for hours and then offer him a ride back?
Yeah.
Because him and his full head of hair would just not SH you? The math never math, Billy. The math has never math for me. And it's sad, actually. But I'm happy for her, though, because she fucked around and she is finding out. So shout out to her. She picked the right one, honestly.
Elsie, the only thing that I think Baldoni, the only fault that I can find with the Baldoni is the 7-minute voice message. I think that's just because he's so earthy and
yeah.
And he's just feels everything so much. And he's like, Blake, I'm so sorry.
Absolutely.
I should have listened more to what you were saying. And he was a little pandery. And I kept saying, hey, stop. The voicemail was a little too long, right? I mean, 7 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have even bothered because I would have clocked that lady being crazy way earlier. You would have got a text that said K from me, K. Go deal with yourself. But him being who he is, God bless him. It could never be me. Like, I don't have the time. I literally don't have the time. It could never be me. But I could see him and probably even his wife saying, babe, you have to apologize. You have to make her feel good. And I know people, look at a 2 a.m. thing and forget the time difference, that it wouldn't have been 2 a.m. for him, because I think he had gone home to LA at that time. Either way, the time doesn't matter. Now, leaving a 6-minute, 7-minute voicemail, but then you also have to factor in the lady went on about the fact that men have mistreated her in this industry. Nobody has taken her seriously. When she said she wrote a whole script for a movie and didn't get credit for it, I'd love to see that. And while we're on the script credits, you said you worked on Deadpool and your name appears nowhere in the credits. Not in wardrobe, not in music, not in anything. The only credit you get was for Ladypool, which we know that's plagiarism because that was not you. So stop lying. So you really want to producer credits? Your husband should have done that for you. Your husband and Adam Levy, or what the man name is, they should have done that for you on Deadpool. But you wanted Justin to make right what your husband broke. He's not your therapist. And when he tried to fix for you, you tried to sue him for it. You said you was fat. He said you were okay. Your husband said you was fat and didn't let you be Ladypool. Where is Ryan's lawsuit? Billy, don't laugh. I'm being so serious.
I know, but it's amazing. I go back to what you said in the beginning. I'm dying on this hill. I'm dying on this hill. Candace Owens is dying on the Epstein Hill. You're dying on the Blake Lively Hill. I'm trying to think, where's my hill?
You don't got to die, Billy. That's the beauty of this all. You can just stand there and watch. If I need CPR, just come get me. Because you don't got to die with us. Just be over there.
You got to follow Elsrich on Instagram. It is she's amazing. Elsrich. Elsrich. Elsie, you are the greatest. I love your stuff. Final question. What's better? The Venezuelan version of Jane the Virgin or the English?
Well, I told you I'm dying on this hill now, Billy. I can't leave. So I might have to die on this hill. The only reason I would say the English version is because I watched the Venezuelan version when I was like 8, maybe 7, and I can't remember how it ended. So just for that, I have to dock them some points. And I remember exactly how Jane the Virgin ended. They turned the telenovela into a book. We found out we were actually watching the movie version of the book. So I like how that ended. So I might have to give a couple points to the English version, but only because I don't remember the Venezuelan version ending.
Well, either she was a virgin or she wasn't in the end. It's
she definitely was a virgin. We know that much. And we know she didn't essay him for, getting pregnant by him. So that's
fluent
good.
in YouTube speak. S-A-S-H. You know the move. I gotta be better about that.
I catch on quick.
I love you. Take care. You got your husband coming home. He's picked up the child. Everything's good, and you'll be back at it. When's the next post? Coming any minute, I hope.
I was editing just before I hopped on here. So in the next hour, maybe 2, depending on what the boy does when he gets in here. Because my son takes over the whole house. So I might have to put that down and feed him and stuff. Maybe take him to the pool. But my followers know. Sometimes he comes in a video and I have to block his face and stuff. But they all love him. They're good with it. But I appreciate you for having me.
Your healthy balance is amazing. You're the Scotty Scheffler of content creators. Like when he's not playing golf, he's with Scotty Scheffler. Just won the Open Championship in golf.
Oh, the golf guy.
Yeah, and he's with his kids. He doesn't go to the range all day. He has the family, and then he goes, plays at golf, and he kicks everybody's ass. What you do, you create the content, then you go back. You're not constantly doom scrolling. A healthy balance.
I'm not on the phone like that.
Elsie, you're right.
I watch sports. I consume all the tennis, all the basketball, every other sport, and then I make my content and I go away. So
well, I'll be following as always. Can we do this again?
I would love to come back. This was fun, Billy. I love the fact that you think I'm funny because I don't know that I'm funny. I just figured that out in January when people said I was funny. I never knew that.
You're very funny. I'm telling everybody, and this lady's funny. The lady's funny.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll be here for another week. So
take care.
Thank you. I appreciate
she's the best. Oh my God, what a riot! It's amazing, the internet. That's how I got a hold of her. I just told people, can someone just message Elsie and tell her that I'm dying to talk to her? Anyway, love following her. That's it for us. Thank you for listening today. So much going on. And I just want to end where we began. And that is just thinking about what a great person Malcolm-Jamal Warner was. And his sudden death just is heartbreaking. If you haven't heard about it yet, I just walked in here. Howie Mandel is my landlord, as I said, around here. He hadn't heard. I just told him. He was, swimming in Costa Rica and caught in the rip current and asphyxiated. And it's just so unbelievably heartbreaking because he's got a small child too. And a great reputation. His legacy is secure. A really good guy. So say a prayer for his family. Thank you for listening to Hot Mics with Billy Bush, presented by LA Golf. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.